Five Nights at Freddy's was released in 2023. This is directed by Tammi and it's written by Tammi, Scott Cawthon and Seth Cuddeback, and we have a cast including Josh Hutcherson, Piper Rubio, Elizabeth Lail and various others. The performances were really good. I guess the story is okay, but I didn't particularly care for the execution. Now, I will say I've never played the video game on which this is based. I might have liked it more if I'd played the video game, or maybe I would have had very specific expectations and I would have liked it less if I'd played the video game. I'm not a big gamer these days, but I'm actually kind of curious because I love the concept. I think the concept is really fascinating. It's about a security guard at this pizzeria where they have these animatronic mascots, and these are the main characters that we see. And well, I don't want to go into too much detail. I do think the backstory is very interesting. I don't know if it's the same backstory in the video games. I would assume so. But the backstory and why these animatronics are doing evil things and why they're quite creepy is really fascinating. But I found the actual execution of the narrative to be really, really boring. Basically, we have the security guard working at this pizzeria. The animatronics do interesting-ish things, and it gets quite dangerous and quite dark. Unfortunately, there are a few reasons why it doesn't work for me. One, the story is just very slow. The specifics of the narrative, the key plot points, I do like. The rate at which we find out things, I thought was very good. The pacing is great. It's just unfortunate that the events in between developing the narrative are very, very slow. The characters are quite boring as well. I didn't dislike anybody, but I didn't really connect with any of them. So I wasn't really rooting for anybody. And the third reason is the lighting is horrific. The whole thing, I'm exaggerating, but I'd say a very large chunk of the film is so dimly lit. And I've mentioned this many times before, and I'm sure I'll mention it many times again. I really hate it when horror films think that the way to create the right atmosphere is to just turn the lights down. And yes, that can be effective, and in small doses that's fine. But the lighting throughout this is just so dull and dim. And there were times when it wasn't, that's absolutely fine. But it's just not interesting to look at. There are times when I'm squinting to see what's happening. And I'm not saying the whole thing should have been brightly lit, but I would have preferred it if we could see things in crisp, clear colour and we could really see these animatronics. Maybe it's just me. I am quite scared of animatronics. I wouldn't say I'm phobic necessarily, but I don't like being around them at all. And if we could see them in more detail and we had more time up close with them and we could really see all of the detail of the characters more frequently, for me that would have been scarier than just dimming down the lights. So that was pretty much throughout the entire film, and I just thought it was really unpleasant to watch. So we have quite a dull narrative, or at least the execution's quite dull. As I said, there are key plot points and information that we're given that is quite interesting. But the actual specifics of the narrative, the events to get to those key plot points, not very interesting at all. The characters are dull. They're not bad. I didn't dislike anybody, but they're not interesting. The performances are fine. Then we have visually an unappealing film, and I wouldn't say it's very good at all. Not very scary either. It is a 15, according to IMDb. I assume that's the UK rating. And I'd say, yeah, that's probably fair enough. Not that I could criticise it if it wasn't, but for me, I can see it being reasonably scary with some mature themes. But certainly, if you're a seasoned horror fan, I don't think you'll get anything out of this because the story is not interesting enough to make up for the weak horror and the poor visuals. I don't like it. As I said, maybe if I'd played the video game, I would have enjoyed it more. There could be references and things in this that don't mean anything to me, and that's absolutely fine if that's the case. But at the same time, I feel like I would have had higher expectations, and I might have liked it a lot less. But I'd love to know if you've played the video game, what you thought of it. The concept really appealed to me. As I said, very scared of animatronics, particularly animatronics that are not working. Something I think I've also mentioned before is that I love fairgrounds, I love arcades, but not when they're turned off. There is nothing creepier than a roller coaster that's not working or a slot machine that's been unplugged. I absolutely hate them. And animatronics kind of fall into that. So it really could have terrified me. It could have been a really strong experience. And while I do love the concept, and I do like the overarching narrative, the reasons we are given for why certain things are happening, apart from that though, there's just not a lot of benefit. Do I recommend it? If you're curious, check it out. If you've played the video game, I assume it's worth watching, but if I'm wrong about that, please feel free to let me know. I went in with reasonably high hopes because it sounded exactly like something that I would love, and unfortunately, it's very weak, not very entertaining, not scary at all, not pleasant to look at. Ultimately, Five Nights at Freddy's. From my perspective as somebody who hasn't played the game, I don't think it's a very good film.